now for the last part of doing these change orders. Once you've gotten everything together, you are going to, as you can see here, we have all of our overlay drawings from the previous videos. And then what you're going to do is you're going to open up Accubid change order, or change order pro, I should say. And then we'll upload this into live count. So I'm going to select the job number we're working on. This one is going to be Maplewood Library. And this is going to be change order number 25. Right here, I'm going to write what it is. It's going to be, we're going to link that one to live count. It's kind of annoying that you can't do it till after the fact. We'll change the description, I should say. We're going to add the drawings. I'm going to upload that file we just created. And I just threw that on the desktop. Oh, we'll see all changes. Okay, that's the only drawing we're going to be working off from. In the notes and then the job info description, right here is where I like to write OOC 24 circulation desk changes. Okay, and now if you haven't gotten your, you can see if you haven't gotten your job default set up, you should do that now, and you can do that in setting project defaults, right? And then your global defaults in the company you should already have set up. I can do that in another video, but so you would change your project defaults if your, right down here, if your labor rates are off, right? So every project has got an approved labor rate that you have to submit. So you should verify that your labor rates are correct over here and they correspond with the project. Mostly all the projects that we do, labor rates are the same unless they're working out of jurisdiction at a different local. And as you can see, we have all those other locals down here, but these are the labor rates that we set for that. You could either change these in project defaults or global defaults. If you're starting new projects, you're going to want to have that set up in global default so that when you load the new project, it is shown for every job that you're starting. So we have all of ours loaded up for our project as our global defaults. Right now, we're just doing small job foreman, 100%. We're going to leave that on there. If they kick it back to us, you can change your labor rate right here to 50 and 50. And you can see it splits the hours from 8 between them based on the percentage. So we're going to go back to 100. You could go to 150%, but there, if it's shown on your on the bottom of your change order, they're going to kick it back. I'm trying to bring it up, and it may have brought it up in another window. Let's see here. No, right there. So if they see that your hours on your total hours right under your summary don't match what's on your total hours up here, they'll more than likely kick it back. And they do want to see your hours per task on most jobs. So in your notes section right here, job info, this should be your project. Notes info should be basically what you're going to be doing. This is going to be labor and materials for all work shown on OOC-24 marked up drawings. I like to submit marked up drawings because if you don't, they're more apt to kick it back, and they want to, and it's just going to delay the entire change order process. They want to see they have forgotten what is on their change orders at this point. So sometimes you can use that to your advantage and try to sneak more in. But if you want to streamline it, you're going to want to give them something that shows everything exactly laid out as it is, which is what we're going to do today with those overlay drawings. Okay. So we're going to go back to our takeoff. Obviously, we're using live count, and we've uploaded the change order drawings that we did in the last two videos. This is why these are a pain. Okay. And again, I don't know if I trust the scale anymore. So I'm actually going to calibrate this drawing based on door frame. And all door frames are 3 feet. So we're going to set that scale, and it is. That 1 by 8 actually does seem to be accurate then. As you can see right here, 1 foot equals 8, so I'm actually just going to stick with what they got. Okay. Okay, so now that we got everything set up, we'll start the takeoff. I'm going to split screen it just to try to see if we can get it to work. Where am I? Okay. Now, most of these jobs require backup for everything, so depending on whether you're the estimator or PM doing this, it's kind of annoying now because it takes forever. So I essentially would have to get a quote just for this exit sign. The switches and basic materials they'll usually accept without everything, but I don't know. Sometimes you still have to do that. Accubid does have the function if you have your vendors signed up to it to actually send it out to the vendors to get a quote, and it can kind of produce a quote sheet that you can shoot out at the end of it to get it to get quotes on all the materials. So Turner is a big one that does that. It just increases. Everything's just making everything so difficult nowadays to get work done. It's just ridiculous. So you got all these bureaucrats just in there, in their office. Their entire job is to just sit there and review your change orders. It's incredibly annoying. All right, so we're going through this right here. Things I'm going to take off. We've got a dimmer switch location moved to here. So this one actually was not on the, oh yeah, it was. So we're going to say that we already did that one. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to put some labor in there for a switch. I'm going to add that because we've already installed this switch and now we have to reroute it and do it all again. So I'm going to go to systems. Common assembly switches. It's going to be a metal stud over there. Recorder. Sorry, I'm moving slow. It's the end of the day. Let's see here. And I'm sitting way back from the mic, so I apologize. Jesus, what's going on right now? All right, there we go. Got that one right there. Do a little takeoff. And it's good for the estimator and the, what is this? Why is this making a new thing? Okay. Oh, done. We got another switch here. This is a 3-way. So technically I should be doing a 3-way. That was a single pole, as you can see. Here's a 3-way. Oh. That one actually stays, so I'm going to Control Z and add it right there. See what else we got for lighting. We got another single pole switch here, and then we've got another 3-way floating around. So what do we have? We had an additional 3-way switch down there. This is where it's nice to have adding an additional 3-way there. So, all right, cancel that. So we don't have any single poles in here. We're going to cancel this. And we are going to add these 3-ways. I don't think they had any in here, did they? No, they didn't have any. Oh, they had one single pole. So I could give them a credit for that. And we're not actually going to need all the metal stud. So maybe I will do that. So in order to do a credit, right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to mark on there. I'm going to commit that. And then you're going to see it pop up here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to reverse the takeoff. So that is now going to make that a negative value right there. So that's reverse takeoff for the 2 single poles that they had included in there. All right, we're going to need to add this exit sign. Like technically got moved. Exit sign no longer needed and moved to here. So we could say that we did the conduit run for that. I think we did. So now we're going to have to add a new one. And obviously, like, depending on how busy the engineer is, this is the reality of it. Depending on how busy an engineer is, on whether or not you're going to be able to like throw some stuff on here and get away with it. Otherwise, if they're not super busy, um, which they all are right now, then they're going to be all over you for. And if it's like OGS or a state project, they have, again, it's a state, so they just have nothing but money to waste on guys sitting there um, reviewing every little thing, criticizing you for how much, for how messed up some of your stuff is. Meanwhile, they're just getting a paycheck to review change orders and not getting anything done. And that's their whole job, is that, I mean, and contractors are just underwater with limitless amounts of work. Not to knock all the state guys, but that is the experience that I always run into. Okay, so we're adding a single switch and relocating existing. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna go to switches and we're gonna add another flush EMT and metal stud. We're gonna add that on there. Boop. All right, commit that. Right click, commit. Okay, relocate existing P fixtures. So again, like, we got to throw some EMT on here because if we've had to move any of this stuff around, switch is moved. We don't really have to do anything for that. Dimmer switch location, move there. Provide three-way switches in break room. All right, we pick that up right there. And same thing, I'm going to take this from a single pole. I'm going to reverse that takeoff. And then I am going to add a three-way right there. All right, commit. So we get a little bit of money back for this. We're adding an AV in here. Not sure why that's on the lighting prints, but it is. And add this on here. Now you have to get like programming costs and stuff like this too. So if you ever have fire alarm on there, generally there's a programming cost that will come from whoever your vendor is. That's included on there. All right, that's existing. All right, so that's pretty much it for the exits or the lighting side of this print. What I'm going to do is I am going to add some EMT on here, just for the sheer fact of, and you know, now we're converting these to three ways, right? So we're going to need two travelers and our source. So let's see, we're going to just throw ground. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but we'll put. Am I just going to run a conduit from there to there and back up? Yeah, I guess we'll probably. Oop. We're going to come out here. We're going to make it look nice. Nice. And then we're going to have to run back up to the fixture. Need a little bit of elevation at about 20 feet based on the ceiling height you got. And we're going to commit that. And now I'm going to add a little bit just for extending this switch over here. Same thing. I'm going to add some for doing these three ways now in here. Just want to make sure you get everything covered. I'm going to enable a little elevation on that. I don't know why it doesn't allow you to put the same elevation in. It's some kind of weird thing. With Accubid, I have to change it every time. I don't know if it's me or what that is, but for some reason that always seems to be the case. Okay, so that's it for lighting. Oh, I got to add this digital timer on here and a keyed switch. So again, we're adding a little bit of new. Shrink this one. This is so giant. We're adding a little bit of new conduit work in here. Let's go back to 20. We'll commit that. And then I also have to add a digital timer. Now, usually I'd have to get like, this is where it's annoying, so I would have to go, what's annoying about it is that, so I'm just going to look for one on here. If they don't have one spec'd out and I have to put my time into doing all this nonsense, I'm going to try to pick something that's up there cost-wise. All right, here you go. This one is 300. They're not specifying anything. This is realistic. Now I'm going to have to either cut a picture out of this because this is what we have to do nowadays. Instead of them having to look at it, they want me to put all the time into it. Yet they're going to fight me on... Oh, I can't do it while I'm doing a video. Oh, maybe I can. They're going to fight me on my... Oh, did I lose it? Is this still rolling? It is. Sorry, I'm trying to take 2 videos at once. One's a picture, one's a video. So they're going to fight me on the cost of this. So me sitting here, if you put PM time on it, half the time they'll be like, that should be worked into your initial bid. I'm like, I can't figure out how many hours that I have to spend for change orders on here, you know? So digital time clock. Really going on a rant on this one. I'm now going to save this. I'll either put this in a folder of what, like this OOC24, because if I have to get other things in there, so we could either do that in our job folder for how we have it set up. Actually, we don't even have one on there for this one. $24. All right. Oh shoot, it's 34. All right, actually we do. Digital time clock. We'll put that in there. All right, we have a digital time clock at 331.46. Temporary items. Digital time clock. 331.46. Okay. I'm gonna put some labor hours to install that. More 4 hours on that, baby. Okay, and now we're gonna click that on there. Ooh. And that is done. Okay, so that's that one. Now let's go to page 2. Okay, this is where feed being rerouted. Again, we got added a receptacle. So what we got right here, added a receptacle. And then we did do 1-inch conduit going into this desk, which I didn't pick up on the last one. These baseboard heaters, I actually picked this up in another one. So that's where, if you put this on here, you're better off putting more than less, right? And then letting the, like, so if you're the estimator doing it and you want your project, you know, and the project manager is always going to know what's going on more on the project. So if you add more, he can take it away. But if you add more and it gets approved, great. If you add less and it doesn't get, if you add less and then it doesn't, it's better to add more. I don't know why I can't think right now, but it's better to add more. All right, so this one should be the same. We already calibrated the last one, should be fairly similar. But let's just double check just to make sure, because now I'm not convinced. Again, we're going to use a door, and it's going to go 3 feet. Let's see what we get. Yeah, all right, so that one's right still. Okay, 1/8 equals a foot. Okay, feed being rerouted. So I'm just gonna put some conduit on there for the feed being rerouted. I'm trying to get out of here right now. And then we're 2 added receptacles. So what we're gonna do the same thing. Common assembly, systems. So the receptacles first. We're going metal stud. If you had to go and review it and really like spend your time on this change orders, you'd have to go back into the architectural, see what the wall layout's going to be. It's just a pain. No one's going to fight you on metal stud. If it's masonry and it's mason block, and you have to like, the only thing you got to watch out for is like if you have to cut these receptacles in. So you could either specify in your notes that it's like for metal stud, and again, so that if you're the estimator, the project manager can review it. So I didn't include all those other receptacles because I went over that in the other video. They're just being rerouted, right? So all I'm going to do is factor in time for rerouting conduit. And we have to upsize this conduit to 1 inch going into this thing. So we're going to add some 1 inch on that. Now I'm going to, first things first is I'm going to add some EMT. It's dynamite. EMT. Same thing. So basically what we're doing is we're going to have to bring some new feed out of the panel, right? That's worst case scenario. So let's Let's figure worst case scenario. We have to figure out, again, the stupid elevation thing. Somebody at Trimble, if you ever watch these things, let's get that figured out. I don't know who's going to watch that. Okay, what is going on? All right, we got to add that. We got to do this 1 inch here too. So we got a pretty lengthy amount for that. I'm just going to add a little bit more just for all the other reroutes we got to do. Let's see what happens. Commit that. And now we got to do this 1 inch going in here, and then we've got to add some additional data. So we could do the 1 inch on a different drawing, but we're going to just do it on this one, I guess. For this one, we're going to do no wire. There should be no wire right here. No box, no wire. Which probably is what we're going to be with the 1 inch going into the circulation desk. So long story short, it's going to bit bop around this thing. Enable that elevation. That has to be different than it was last time. And we're done with that. Okay. And again, if you're the PM doing it, you do want to kind of see where your costs are. And if you're like, your job is hurting a little bit, there's a reason it's hurting. Whether it's your fault for not monitoring your guys, or if it's the engineer's just throwing a bunch of stuff at you, trying to sneak it in, you have to make sure that you are on top of your costs. So change orders are a good way to kind of work your way back into the light. All right, so that's it for that one. Page 3. All right, you can see right here, all we've had, most of this is part of existing conduit. We've added 6 additional data drops and the conduit. I picked that conduit up on the last one. So we are going to add the additional data drops. The scales have been pretty good on the last one, so I'm not going to redo it. But what we got to do is we do have to bring it all the way back into this server room here. So we are going to be adding, and data's garbage on here. I like to do data at a certain level, like $400 a drop. We got 1, 2. That's usually like a unit price. 3. So what are we adding? Part of existing contract. I think we're adding 6 drops total. So for me, I'm just going to do a. I don't know if they're going to be. They might kick it back. I'm just going to do data drop, data price per drop, and I'm going to do $400 a drop, and we're going to see what's going to happen. So this needs to be set to count. Normal. I'm going to leave labor hours at 0 for that. So let's see here. Now we're just doing 6 drops. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Commit. Okay, they might kick that one back. I'm getting a little bit greedy with that. So same thing. If you have to include any additional equipment, like right here's where you can kind of nickel and dime. I could put like a scissor lift for a week on here, and I probably will. Right, I'm going to put scissor lift. I don't know if they're going to go for that. I'm not going to put that on there. You could, though. You could put a scissor lift on there. You're better off trying to do it in materials. So right now, I'm hitting them with a 20 grand changeover for this. Ooh, that's going to be a lot. That's going to be a lot. So we're going to see what's going to happen. All right. It's not that crazy, but you got to keep it within range. Oh, it doesn't even have the markup on there yet. You want to check what your prints and specs say you can do for markup. A lot of times you can also add bonding on there for 1% because technically your bonding on a public project is supposed to increase. So we could try sneaking that on there too. All right, we're getting a little whiling out with this one, so I feel like I'm a little bit high. I'm going to actually reduce that labor price on the price per drop because they're going to kick that back on me. 300 reasonable. All right, so we're going to write our notes. You're going to go to your print preview. It's going to take a minute. a long minute. So, and what you have here is Accubid has a pricing for everything. So they're going to be able to see, I have one too many drops on there. They're going to see all this on here, and then they're going to make their base on that. So I see what it is. So it's got a foreman, it's got B shift on there for some reason. That's what's making it so much higher. So I'm going to go to my direct labor. That's why I've added 50 extra hours that aren't realistic. Okay, that's going to kick it down substantially to where now I want to. I have to quickly modify this. I added too many. Modify. I can either just change it here. I might have to break it from live count. So I can either just take it off right here, take one of them, or you can just disable live count auto launch and then manually update it. Let's see here. All right, what does that put us at? Because now I'm going to bring it back up to 400 after losing 50 hours. Let's see. I think change orders are a gain. Ooh, 15 grand. That's passable. I got some credits in there. They love seeing credits. It's got a lot of items on there. And I didn't even add additional programming. I'm going to add that. Nah, we'll leave that off. Is that going to be enough? I'm going to bump these back up to 400. And then, so what you do is, this is the last part of it. I know these are long videos with these change orders. So, all right, once I print this, what I would do is I'm going to print. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to print a PDF. Okay. Now the weird thing about Accubid, and I tried to figure out how to turn this off, it's you have if you double print it, it prints two different versions of the change order. So normally I would save this in the job folder. I think I keep calling it OOC. I think it's OOC 34. So this is PCO OOC 24. Okay. I'm going to save that. Now what it's going to want to do is it's going to try to save again. You don't want to save again. You want to cancel that one. Because it's just weird. I don't know why it does that. So now that that's all done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, close it out. Okay. I'm going to open it here. And just bouncing around right now. OC. No, I wrote the wrong. PCO for OC. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these two. Maybe we'll add the lighting thing. I'll do it later. The digital time, I don't think they're going to fight that. And that's a pretty fair-ish change order. Obviously, you want it to work in your favor. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as, basically, I can't overwrite that one. PCO for OOC 24 with markup. Okay. And now that has my drawings marked in there with it. And then what's going to happen is the engineer will see that. They'll be like, oh, this guy's paying attention to what they have to do. And then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go to our app. We are going to go to, I like to do it on the admin section. Change order log. I'm going to add a new CO. Type the job number in there. With library. PCO for OOC. God, I hope that is OOC 24. I keep saying it. It I should actually have an RFP in here. Let me see. I might be able to just update the one that's on here. Oh, see, OC34, I'm wrong. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to update the sent CO. So she's already got it on here. I don't need any notes right now. We're going to type that amount in there. You should just forward it to your admin, at least in our company. And then let her log it, because she might get mad at you if it's just sitting there. We review these every week on ours. So final amount 16 144.41. 16 144.41. 16 144.41. It's not part of the allowance. Last file update is today. We're going to add that in there. If I had both my screens, I could do it right normal, but I gotta change that to 34. Okay. We're gonna save that. All right, now it automatically changes the status to sent. Oh, that's not right. Something in there wrong. Your uploaded files right there. You can reference it now in the app. Okay. And what's going to happen with this is now that this change order log, so when we search all of our jobs sent change orders, it takes a minute to upload. Hang on, I gotta redo this section so it uploads quicker. You can see all your sent change orders. Why is it not doing the cost for those? Oh, there it is right there, 156. So we've got 156,000 sent change orders sitting right now that need to get followed up on to get the goal is to, you don't want this sitting there for that long. So that is it. Okay. So, all right, long one, but I'm gonna stop.